Erev Tov, everyone. Yaakov Avinu is portrayed in the Parsha that when he comes to the house of Lavan, he is a person of great physical strength and prowess. The Torah tells us an incident that the shepherds are waiting in order to remove the lid, the stone from the well. It takes all of the shepherds together to do it. And Yaakov Avinu approaches and he does it by himself. So Yaakov Avinu is a person of immense physical strength, physical prowess. Yet the portrait that we have of Yaakov Avinu is that he's always in fear. As we say it, Zmiras al Tira Avdi Yaakov, taken for the words taken from the Navi. Yaakov's always afraid. Usually people who have great physical strength have confidence. They have the ability to be strong. We see in the entire period of time that Yaakov is in the house of Lavan. He never confronts Lavan. The Chumash does not record it for us. And that when he wants to leave the house of Lavan, at the end of the Parsha, he does so surreptitiously. Flees in the middle of the night, waits till Lavan isn't around. Why is he afraid of Lavan? So the Meforshim all look at these incidents. Why did the Torah tell us these stories? What is the message that's communicated to us? And the Meforshim pretty much agree that this was the story of the Jewish people in exile. Throughout all of the years of our exile, both from Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni, the Jewish people never presented physical strength. They never confronted their enemies. It's not only a question of physical strength, it's a question of psychology. How did they see themselves? When Yaakov Avinu returns to Eretz Yisrael, however, the Meforshim point out that Yaakov all of a sudden becomes physically strong. First, he wrestles with the angel, with Esav's angel. And even though he is damaged by the angel, he nevertheless is triumphant. And when he meets Esav, so then the Medrash teaches us, L'dor and L'trilo L'milchoma, he's ready to fight him if necessary. He's ready to go to war with him. And the whole discussion that the Meforshim have regarding Yaakov Avinu's attitude towards Shimon and Levi, with the story of Shechem. So he doesn't object to what they did. He says, Lama achartem osi, the consequences, you didn't take the diplomatic consequences into account. The Ramban says, famous piece, Im namin l'sefer HaYoshor, if we will believe in the tales of the Sefer HaYoshor. So there's a book called Sefer HaYoshor. So the Torah has a book called Sefer HaYoshor. In the Nevi'im, we find Sefer HaYoshor. We find later times as well. So the Sefer HaYoshor that the Ramban is referring to is a book of legends about the Avos and about the history of Klal Yisrael. There's also a Sefer HaYoshor that was written by Rabbeinu Tam, the premier person of the Balei Tosfos. And the Ramban says, if we believe the stories in the Sefer HaYoshor, then Yaakov Avinu fights with all of the tribes of Canaan when he comes back there to Israel. And he's engaged in constant war until finally they, so to speak, adjust to the fact that he and his children are there to stay. And then it's Vayeshev Yaakov Beretz Megurei Aviv. So the lesson is obvious. In the exile, Yaakov Avinu is afraid, is weak, flees. Well, that's the story of the Jews in the exile. He ran all over the world. But when they came back there, it's Israel, Yaakov Avinu is strong. He's able to engage in the wrestling match with the angel. He is able to show strength. He's able to defeat the people of Shem and the surrounding tribes that want to destroy it. And that was part of the psychology of how the world looked at Jews. To a great extent, I remember even as a child growing up in Chicago, so the Jewish neighborhood abutted an Italian neighborhood. So the Shkotzim used to come and beat up the Jewish kids on the way home from school. And the Jewish kids' revenge was to get an A on the report card. But that they would take up and beat up the Shkotzim like it never entered the mind that that's what you're supposed to do, which is the only thing that can help. So the mentality of the Golas struck the Jewish people over all of the centuries. And therefore, the Torah wants to point out to us at the beginning of the story, before Yaakov goes into Golos, right at the beginning, when he comes to the house of Lavan, Yaakov Avinu is strong. Yaakov Avinu is stronger than they are. They have to have all the shepherds, and he can do it on his own. And that's why he's called Yisrael. Kisariso Emelakim v'odom v'atucho. Because of your strength. So that's a clear message of the capabilities of Yaakov. And the clearest message is where we are, whether we're in Golus or whether we feel that we're at home in Eretz Israel. I remember in 1956, the Sinai campaign. So the Jewish community in America was shocked that Israel would attack. It's not nice. I remember it because that was the Golos mentality. Golos mentality is you got to take it. So the Torah portrays for us Yaakov in all of these different forms, in all of these different types of behavior, to emphasize the point as to what is the price that we pay for being in Golus, and also to point out the strength that we have if we free ourselves from that mentality. And that's what Eretz Yisrael is supposed to represent. So that is an insight that I always find to be true and telling. And naturally, it has an effect upon how we view ourselves today as well. Rabbi Chananya ben Akashi Omer, Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'zakos es Yisrael, V'fichal chirbo lahem Torah mitzvot shenemar, Adonai chofetz l'man tzidko yagdil Torah v'yadil.